This experiment in graphic design I completed just proves to me how intriguing and frightening AI can be at the same time. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. You're with Chris, and today I'll be sharing with you a project I've been working on these past couple of weeks, which I've only just wrapped a few days ago. I successfully reimagined and redesigned 22 Stephen King book covers in my own vision with the help of AI for the background art. I used a free tool called Playground, which I've left a link in the description below, so you can go along and see what this site is actually capable of. And stick around until the end, because I do want to give a channel update as to the reasons why there has been no content posted in the past few weeks. So there's been a little bit going on there, which I will be transparent with you and share all that. So ultimately with this project, I was curious to see how AI would rise to the task and stack up in creating cover art for the Stephen King books that was both thematic and appropriate, by using different prompts to get the results I was after. And a lot of it was a lot of trial and error until I got some of the designs just right. It didn't hit the mark on some of the designs, which I've just settled for so-so. You know, they're okay, but some of these ones were actually brilliant. So for the most part, there were mixed results, but overall, I think this experiment was a success. Now, when I was doing this project and using AI, I had in mind, I was influenced by and drew inspiration from all the Stephen King covers that have been produced throughout the history. So a lot of the cover designs carry the same themes and things like that, and I wanted to bring that to this project. And it was funny how some of the results turned out, where some of the covers actually feature characters from the books, which hasn't really been done on a Stephen King book cover before. So I'm very, very pleased with some of these results, which I'm about to show you. Now, just a disclaimer here as well, this was purely a creative exercise. Now, there are fantastic artists out there that I'm not going to take away any income from them. I'm not going to publish these designs anywhere. I'm not going to ring up Hotter Headline, King's UK distributor, and say, hey, look, I've got some cover designs. Do you want to take a look at them? I'm just not going to do that. Let's kick it off. Now, with these ones, I've actually, the order I'm going to show them in is my least favorite covers right up to the really good ones towards the end. So just make sure you stick around as I show you these. So I'm going to bring up the first one that I'm going to talk about, and that is Dreamcatcher. Now, with this one, there wasn't a lot I could do to instruct AI to do a really good cover. Obviously, I put in a prompt, say, show me a dream catcher with some warm background lighting and things like that, and it produced this design in the background, which was absolutely fine, but it wasn't quite what I wanted, but I just settled for it. I mean, it turned out okay. Now, I'll make a note on the text on the cover as well. So the Stephen King font there, I drew inspiration from the old New English Library paperbacks. Thematically, throughout all the books through history, the first name is always smaller and the king is always bigger, so I maintained faithfulness to that, and I made it big and bold. And I always like to do outlines for the text, purely because if you're using different colors and things like that, and you want a colored font in front of those designs, you have to have an outline. Otherwise, the heading just won't stand out. And I also chose a haunting typewriter font for the titles, which turned out quite well. I was very, very happy with that. Now, up the top, I put my own comment, the worldwide publishing phenomenon, that sometimes there is some sort of comment like that on top of the books. And down the bottom, with all these, I found some taglines for these, which I put on every single cover. So I'm really, really happy with the font. So the colors are rich on this one. It's okay, but wasn't one of my favorites. Okay, the next one I'm going to bring up is Firestarter. Now this one is a little bit better. What I've done is I've concentrated on Charlie McGee here. I've got some fire in her hair, which turned out really well. The kind of prompt I used for this was a young blonde-haired girl with fire behind her, with wind blowing her hair, and it turned out pretty well. The only thing is that I found AI struggled with was putting the appropriate expressions on faces here with a lot of these. Now, that it's not my ideal expression that Charlie McGee needs to have. I wanted to have a more a malevolence or anger to her face, but she's coming across as surprised and shocked and things like that. But I settled for that, which was absolutely fine, but it wasn't my favourite because I just couldn't quite get the expression right, and it took quite a few goes to actually prompt AI to bring it up to this final product. But not too bad. Now with the headings, with the Stephen King, I've actually maintained the colour palette where it matches whatever colours are in the design, so it just looks a little bit more nice and appropriate there. The next one I'm going to bring up is the Tommyknockers. Now this one isn't my favourite at all. Basically it was really hard to instruct AI to have a buried flying saucer in the forest. I tried so many variants, it just didn't quite get it for me, and in the end it just had a UFO shining down, green light, and I actually had the figure of the main character from it, of Bobby from the book, with her back to the front of the book, and I've just had some green light shining down. That was the best I can do. But I've just put a nice little tagline down there: if you're going to the woods today. And it turned out okay, but the green was alright, and just not my favourite design, unfortunately. But AI did miss the mark there because it just couldn't get it. Alright, the next one I'm going to show you is not too bad. This one was my interpretation of Carrie, which I just put my own tagline there: she will make them pay, and she does, doesn't she, in the book and the movie. I instructed AI to give me a portrait of a young lady with blood running down her face, and I think this one was okay. Again, the expression wasn't quite right. I wanted something borderline evil and angry on the face, and just didn't quite get there. But I've written the Stephen King in red, which is kind of appropriate to the theme of the cover, and again, I just think the typewritten font works very well here, but it turned out okay. I was satisfied with it, but just trying to get those expressions on the faces is a little bit difficult. Okay, the next one I'm going to bring up was a little bit disappointing. I couldn't quite get the shining right, but I had the hotel door from the Overlook with red rum across it in red, which was okay. I tried so many variants to have Danny Torrance in the snow with the hedge animals, and I tried to have a couple of pictures of Jack Torrance generated. They just weren't quite up to scratch in my opinion, so I just settled for the hotel door with red rum written on it. So a little bit disappointing, but I just settled for that. So there you go. The next one I'm going to bring up is Gerald's Game. Now that was a hard one because I wanted to have the whole bloody handcuffs attached to the bed rail kind of thing. I wanted to do that with the handcuffs open with blood smeared on them to indicate the escape. But in the end, look, some of the covers have an idyllic lakeside cottage on it, and so I thought I'll just go with that and picked out a nice, prompted it to give me a nice lakeside cabin with mountains in the background kind of thing, and it delivered on that quite well for that. So that one didn't turn out too bad. Okay, the next one I'm going to bring up, these are starting to get a little bit better. Now, this one is the cover for Insomnia. Now, a lot of the covers, the old covers, have Ralph sitting on a park bench. And I thought, well, that's, I'll keep that theme going. And I prompted it to say, please have an old man in silhouette sitting on a park bench with the sun setting or something to that effect. And it brought up this image straight away. So it got it right the first time for me. I think it's great. I think it works well with a bit of mystery with Ralph with his facing backwards. I think it just gives a bit of mystery to the cover, and I like the richness of the sunset. When I was prompting AI for this one, I said, give me some warm, rich colours, and it really, really delivered. And so I'm actually pretty happy with this one. It just has all the elements that make up the theme of the book cover and is faithful to previous covers. Okay, the next one I'm going to bring up is the Dead Zone. Now this one turned out okay. I wanted to feature Johnny Smith, so you can see a backward to the side sort of profile, and he's looking out upon the city, and I chose a blue background because to me blue is a very psychic colour, and given that Johnny obtained psychic powers after coming out of his coma, I thought it was pretty appropriate. I think the blue matches the figure of Johnny Smith, and I like how he's not actually facing the camera. He's looking away and he's contemplating and dealing with his abilities. So it brings that impression across quite well, and I was pretty happy with that one. Okay, the next one was Pet Cemetery. Now with this one, it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. I just settled for whatever with this one, with the cat, with church. I wanted to create a, wanted Pet Cemetery written in kids writing on a gravestone or a grave marker, but it didn't quite do that for me. I wanted to highlight the deadfall in the forest with glowing lights and things like that, but it didn't happen. So basically it took a long time, and I thought, well look, I'm just going to settle for church there. So that one wasn't too bad. And next we have Misery. Now with this one, this was interesting because I wanted to really focus on Annie Wilkes as a character. I wanted to have her brandishing an axe. I wanted to have a really, really menacing look to her with fire in the background. So for the most part, this one turned out okay. I got her crazy face almost right, and there were a couple of goes at this one to get it just right, and I think this is what Annie Wilkes would look like in my vision, and it turned out pretty well in my opinion. So she comes across pretty menacing, as if she's about to hobble Paul Sheldon. So yeah, that is that one. Now going forward, we have Night Shift, which was quite good. Thematically, all the previous printings mainly feature a scarecrow in a cornfield. So it wasn't too hard to instruct AI to give me, it did take a couple of goes, but to instruct AI to give me a silhouette of a scarecrow in a cornfield. I find silhouettes a lot more mysterious and a little bit more scary than a full-on frontal face of a scarecrow, and I like the colour palette here that we used, and it's at sunset and he looks pretty menacing without seeing his face. I think that works quite well. Alright, the next one we've got is Salem's Lot, which wasn't too bad actually with how it turned out. It has the Marston House on the hill. This was one of the first ones I did, and I'm pretty happy with the results really. It captured the Marston House quite well. The colours are probably a little bit bright for the theme of the book, but this was when I first started the experiment and I was just finding my feet. But for the most part it worked out pretty well. The next one I've got is Skeleton Crew, which turned out quite well. I wanted to instruct it to have skeletons flying around books and things like that, and it was pretty hard to get right, and I thought with the skeletons with the wings hanging around this open tome, I thought it worked quite well. And again, with all these headings, I've used the Stephen King font colour, whatever was appropriate for any of the colours in the background there. So I was pretty happy with how that one turned out as well. Alright, and next I've got The Dark Half. Now this one was pretty good. I was pretty happy with the results of this one. It was really hard to instruct AI to have a tombstone with George Stark written on it saying not a very nice guy. Based on the previous covers, there wasn't much to draw upon, but some of the covers do feature the sparrows, and so I thought, why not have a flock of sparrows at sunset? You can't go wrong with that. And I was really pleased because AI got this right the first time when I instructed it to give me some swarms of sparrows flying at sunset. I think it personifies the theme of the book, because sparrows play a very big part in the book. So pretty happy with that one. The next one I have is Bag of Bones. Now this one turned out quite well because I wanted to have the ghost of Sarah Tidwell in water looking at the cabin that's in the book, and I think that I smashed it out of the park. It has a dark tone, it has the cabin at dusk with the light on, and Sarah Tidwell's ghost walking through the water, wading toward it. I thought it has quite a menacing tone and a mysterious tone as well, because you don't see the full front of Sarah Tidwell's face, you just see a sort of back profile, and I instructed AI to put her in some form of 1930s get up or clothing, and I think it turned out great, and it just really is faithful to the tone of the book, and it's something that's different that hasn't been done before with a book cover for Bag of Bones, so pretty happy with that. Okay, next one I have is for Dolores Claiborne. Now this one was fairly simple. I tried to think of something where Dolores was standing over the well where she pushes her husband, but I did try a couple of things with, I instructed AI to give me a painted picture of a middle-aged woman who has a careworn expression rocking on her chair on a porch. That didn't work. And I thought, looking at other covers throughout history, I thought, well, look, an eclipse during the book is quite appropriate. And it wasn't very hard for AI to bring up some really nice pictures of eclipses. And I thought this one turned out quite well. And again, you've got your warm orange tones here, which is a common theme throughout these covers, which I've been really happy with. And I thought it was a really cool, rich, detailed picture of an eclipse. You can't really get much better than that. Okay, now we're getting to the good ones, guys. Next one up we have is Needful Things, which I thought was very good. Now I did this one a little bit differently because you'll see the figure of Leland Gaunt facing away in the foreground there. That was actually generated as part of a picture where an old man was walking through a door. So what I did was I removed the background from the man and grafted him onto the background of this book. And now with the background, it turned out quite well. It looks like a small town street. It could be Castle Rock with Leland Gaunt bringing the storm with him. So there's a storm in the background there, which is a harbinger of the chaos he is going to bring to the townsfolk of Castle Rock. And I thought I'm just over the moon with that result, because again, you've got the mystery of the figure facing away from the camera, which I think is really good. It adds some mystery to it and some some foreboding, which was really good. And obviously I used the tagline there, buy now, pay later, which is a very famous tagline for the book. Alright, now next up we have The Green Mile, which is the complete novel. Obviously it was serialised, but I opted to go for the complete novel, and this one turned out quite well. The very rich green colour was absolutely spot on. It has a green corridor there. I did think that the cell blocks were a little bit close. I wanted the corridor a lot wider. I tried to get it a lot wider, but I couldn't. But I settled for this in the end because it actually, the Green Mile, it has to have a green theme on the cover. And I think it worked very well. I'm really happy with how vibrant the green was, and especially when with some of these I apply my own filters to them as well with Canva, which turn out quite well. There's about 50 different filters I can use to actually bring out the colours as best they can. Okay, now we're coming to the last four, the four favourites of mine. Now, Christine. This one turned out quite well. You can't have a Christine book without a picture of the Plymouth Fury, and I think it turned out quite well. It showcases Christine very well. It's very red, and I had to apply a filter that actually really brought the red out that I think Christine should be, and it's just the perfect profile of the car. You're seeing it at an angle, you're seeing that beautiful grille, and just the menacing look of the car, and I was very pleased with that one, and it did take a couple of goes to get it right. Alright. Now, next up we have Rose Madder, which turned out absolutely brilliant. I went with the traditional bull's head, which is featured on a lot of the covers, and absolutely smashed it out of the park. I actually put in enough instructions in my prompt to get that kind of result with a big bull's head, and I'm absolutely over the moon with it. It turned out great. You've got the real bright red background there, and you've got the red eyes on the bull, and I think, I'd love to own that cover on a real book of Stephen King's. Okay, we're getting to the best two. All right, now I couldn't do this project and not include it, which turned out really, really well. I wanted to focus on Pennywise, and I think it's captured him very, very well. I instructed AI to have a red balloon in there, obviously, and that's Pennywise. He turned out amazing, and just couldn't believe it. When AI brought up the result, I remember gasping out loud and saying to myself, Jesus Christ, it's nailed it. That is what I want. It is exactly what I wanted in a book cover, and I think it's brilliant. And finally, it brings me to my favourite cover I have created in this project, and that is The Stand. What I really like about this cover is the fact that AI smashed it out of the park. It actually generated the picture I wanted first go. What I instructed it to do was the exact prompt I used, in fact, was a crow perched on the remains of a skull on a lonely desert highway with an apocalyptic backdrop. Put it in, waited for the result, and I jumped out of my chair, because that is everything I wanted in The Stand. You've got Randall Flagg as the crow or the raven, perched on a corpse. That is the ultimate theme of The Stand, in my opinion. And a couple of the old covers do feature a crow. The latest cover that's out for The Stand is terrible. It's a pickup truck pulling off on a highway, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But if I owned this in physical format, I would be absolutely over the moon. The colours were rich. I applied a filter just to bring up the colours a little bit, and no tagline for this one. I basically put on the bottom there the complete and uncut edition, and it absolutely surpassed my expectations. So that is the experiment. I found it a great success. I would have loved to have owned a lot of these covers in my physical collection, but it's not going to be. It was a very good creative exercise, and very, very happy with the results overall. So there you go. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I would really like your feedback on what your favorite covers are that you've seen today, and if you agree with me that some of them were a little bit ordinary. Which brings me next to why I haven't been posting these past few weeks on the channel. So I'm in one of my worst reading slumps I've ever had. I am currently in the middle of Elantris by Brandon Sanderson as I continue my Cosmere journey. It's taking me 3 weeks to get through it, and I'm only halfway. I can't explain it. I'm mentally fatigued. I haven't been motivated or feeling inspired to create content on the channel. I can't do book reviews if I'm not reading. I have been distracting myself with other hobbies. I've been doing jigsaw puzzles and making miniature models and things like that. It's just, busy family life, and after work I've got nothing left mentally because I'm so busy, and just haven't felt the compulsion to jump on camera, and just haven't been motivated. So this project I was doing on the sidelines. I thought this is something that excites me enough to jump on camera and share with you. So it's not a book review or anything like that. It relates to books, no doubt about it, and because I was so happy with the results, I just had to share them with you, and it wasn't overly hard to jump on camera to do this. Moving forward for the future, I don't know when I'm going to be back full-time doing weekly updates, monthly wrap-ups, and book reviews. I've just got to work through it, see what happens when I finish Elantris and move on to other books. I'm keen to get into Words of Radiance, so to do that I do need to read more Cosmere books, which I plan on doing, but I've just got to ride the storm. There's no time limit you can put on a bit of burnout, which I think is what I've got. And it's a struggle. But I just wanted to share that with you and be transparent. Ask you to be patient with me while I work through this, and eventually I will, I don't know when it'll happen, but I will get up to normal capacity at some point. It has to happen, right? But until then, if I have a book tag to do or something like a book haul that's very easy and doesn't require a lot of brain power, I'll certainly do that. But just be patient with me. In the next month or 2 months, I might be back full time. I'm just not sure. But have to look after myself, have to look after my mental health. Don't want to quit BookTube at all. So if you stay with me, yeah, I should be back to full capacity one day in the near future. So thank you very much for sharing in my results from this project. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and just really enjoyed the creative process there. Just imagining books in my own vision and just having creative control. And obviously it's going to go nowhere, just a purely creative exercise, but I just think it's interesting to share what AI is capable of, and it's quite frightening. When I was doing some of my prompts and mentioning Stephen King in the prompts, it brought up freaky pictures of him, which AI created, which unsettled me, and I quickly scrolled down to avoid it because it was actually really frightening. But it's capable of such beautiful art as well, but just frightening how quick it is. But if you haven't checked out Playground, go along and have a look, because there is something for everyone. If you're looking for art for your thumbnails or what have you, it's all free, and it was just fantastic. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and be patient. Content will come eventually, but until the next video, guys, whenever that will be, maybe, I'm not sure, but happy reading.